crucial verdicts expected in the Supreme Court in the multi-crore rupee 2G scam.
Firstly, and perhaps more significantly for the government, the Apex Court is to deliver its judgment today on whether P. Chidambaram, the Home Minister's role or alleged role in the scam from when he was Finance Minister, should be probed. That's on the basis of Subramanian Swamy's petition. Secondly, it will decide on whether 2G licenses allotted to these tainted companies should be cancelled or not, also on Swamy's petition. And lastly, on a third petition, the Supreme Court is expected to pass an order on whether a special investigation team should oversee the CBI probe in the scam.
And Janata Party President Subramanian Swamy and noted lawyer Prashant Bhushan are key petitioners. These judgments will be pronounced by Justice G.S. Singhvi. Incidentally, one of the judges hearing the case today is also retiring. Alright, for more, let's get a word from our National Bureau Chief Bhupendra Chaubey. He's joining us live from outside the Supreme Court. Also with him is Ashok Bagria, our Chief Legal Correspondent. Bhupen, a big day not just for the government but also for Home Minister P. Chidambaram. He's one of the accused as far as Subramanian Swamy is concerned.
Well, not just to Mr. Chidambaram, the entire UPA leadership will be looking at the proceedings in the Supreme Court very, very closely. And how very interesting that this judgment, actually a part of 3 judgments, is going to be delivered on a day when one of the judges who's been a part of that bench which has been looking at this entire case, Justice Ganguly, also happens to be retiring today itself. Ashok, isn't it? I mean, the Supreme Court is decked up to listen to the farewell speech, in a sense, from Justice Ganguly. But today really is the D-Day for the government, for Mr. Chidambaram, for Subramanian Swamy, and certainly for all those who figured in the 2G scam.
Yes, certainly, because it's going to be a crucial day not just for Mr. Chidambaram but also for the government, because they'll be keeping a close eye on the fact that the Supreme Court is to adjudicate on the cancellation of licenses also, because the allegations are that 122 licenses were given in 2008 and the allegation is that they were given away at 2001 prices in 2008. Secondly, the whole policy of first come first serve basis was flawed and malafide.
Let's just look at for the timing. Let's just look at Mr. Chidambaram. Let's just look at the petition which was moved by Mr. Swamy. Mr. Swamy contends that Mr. Chidambaram should be made a co-accused in the 2G scam because he was the one who ultimately ended up agreeing with the first come first serve policy which was worked out by A. Raja.
Yes, actually that is the contention of Mr. Subramanian Swamy when he brought this petition to the Supreme Court. He says that there was a meeting of minds between Mr. A. Raja and Mr. Chidambaram when they were deciding on the pricing of the spectrum. And in fact, the allegations go a step further where they say, where Mr. Subramanian Swamy is saying that Mr. Chidambaram, who was the then finance minister, did not try to stop Raja from going ahead with the 2001 prices. So in a sense, there is a case which is being made out by Mr. Swamy against Mr. Chidambaram, and he wants the court to direct the CBI to investigate Mr. Chidambaram.
Well, Mr. Chidambaram certainly will be looking at all the events here in the Supreme Court very, very closely, but so will be his other colleagues. So much has been said about Mr. Chidambaram's alleged role in this entire conspiracy, in this entire scam. He himself has consistently denied. The position which has been taken by the UPA's own managers in support of Mr. Chidambaram has been that at the end of the day, all decisions which are taken by the government are taken at the cabinet level. Any decision which may have been taken or agreed in principle by Mr. Chidambaram should not be interpreted as his personal decision. It has to be looked at as a government's decision, Simi.
So they're saying that he didn't have a role in either price fixation or the grant of licenses. Bhupendra, just to get you on that other petition that's coming up also for hearing when it comes to the cancellation of licenses, that's something else Subramanian Swamy is pushing for.
Yes, a total of 122 licenses were granted, and the point which has been made by the petitioners was that all these licenses were granted at prices of 2001. Effectively, these were throwaway prices. And because of the policy which was initiated and implemented by Mr. Raja, it ended up creating a loss to what has now turned out to be a disputed figure of 1.76 lakh crore rupees. Ashok, what has happened in the court so far? What's the position which has been taken by the court in course of the argument?
Well, as far as the court is concerned, as far as the cancellation of licenses are concerned, the petitioners have strongly relied on the CAG report, which say that a loss of 1.76 lakh crore has happened to the government, to the exchequer, because the spectrum, instead of being auctioned was sold at 2001 prices. In fact, during the course of the hearing, the courts did make certain strong observations saying that this was not the right thing, but at the end of the day, the government pleaders strongly defended the government, saying it was a policy matter and the courts cannot intervene.
But did anyone make the point about this figure of 1.76 lakh crore rupees itself, which was worked out by the CAG? Because now, as we have seen, there are several loopholes which have been pointed out in the manner in which the CAG had worked out a figure of 1.76 lakh crore rupees.
Well, definitely there are certain issues surrounding the figure given by the CAG, but Mr. Prashant Bhushan, who pleaded the case on behalf of the Centre for Public Interest Litigation, he relied strongly on it, and I still remember that at the point in time when he quoted this figure of 1.76 lakh crore, even the Supreme Court was surprised, and they said we have just heard of this kind of money but never seen it, and they said it was a very serious issue, and they went ahead with the hearing in this matter.
Well, so Prashant Bhushan also will be perhaps looking at whatever happens in the court closely. Mr. Bhushan may have been a part of Team Anna. He would have seen what's happened to the entire Lokpal agitation. Perhaps this is one issue on which Mr. Bhushan would be hoping that today will happen to be his day.
Right, Bhupen, another verdict that is expected today again on Prashant Bhushan's plea. He wants the Supreme Court to set up an SIT as far as CBI investigations are concerned. He wants to know why Dayanidhi Maran has still not been charge-sheeted. He's clearly alleging here that the big guns are being allowed to walk away scot-free.
Well, that really is the trickiest of all these issues, because you can look for a straightforward decision both on Mr. Chidambaram's alleged role in this entire scam as well as the cancellation of licenses, but when it comes to the question of setting up of a special investigation team to look into this entire mess, Ashok, the court is going to give a clear-cut verdict today on whether it agrees with this petition which was moved by Prashant Bhushan or not. But for the benefit of our viewers who may not be familiar with the intricacies, what were the grounds which were taken by Prashant for asking for the setting up of this SIT?
Well, as far as the setting of the SIT is concerned, Mr. Bhushan's claims are that the CBI is not conducting a fair investigation into the 2G spectrum scam. In fact, he has gone on to say that Mr. Anil Ambani of Reliance Telecom was let off, his role was not being probed. The role of other telecom companies like Datacom, Sham, Systema and other companies were not investigated. In fact, even he goes on to say that Mr. Chidambaram's role in fixing of the prices has not been investigated, and he made a suggestion to the Supreme Court that there should be 2 or 3 subject experts who know the telecom industry in and out, should be the ones who should oversee CBI investigation on a day-to-day basis, and they should only and only be reporting to the Supreme Court. So these are the basic grounds on which Mr. Prashant Bhushan has made out a case that an SIT should be formed.
And how are these verdicts going to be delivered? Are all these verdicts going to be delivered simultaneously? Because at the end of the day, this is the same bench which is looking at all the issues.
Yes, in fact, the way the verdicts will follow is that first the court will be delivering the verdict on the cancellation of licenses and the role of Mr. Chidambaram, whether whether the CBI can be directed to be looking into his role, and in the last they'll be looking into the question of setting up an SIT.
All right, so there you have it. A pretty hectic day for the Supreme Court, a pretty important day for the government and certainly for the journalists here also. But all in all, this really is going to be a benchmark day in this battle against graft and this entire 2G scam story, which we have relentlessly been following now for over 2 years.